Hey, what is going on, guys? RZ Stealth here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the S tier champions for every single role for patch 9.11. So to start it off, in the top lane, not a ton changed for 9.11, so it's looking pretty similar to where it was last patch. You got your bruiser top laners still dominating right now, so your Aatrox, your Darius, your Jax, and your Urgot are still going to be very good picks for yet another patch. Now, one top lane pick I am moving up into S tier for this patch is Tahm Kench. So Tahm Kench has been on the line of S tier over the past few patches now, and I'm finally bumping him up for this patch. A lot of pros are now playing him in solo queue. They're realizing the strengths that this champion does have. He's just a very oppressive laner. You're gonna win lane most of the time with Tahm Kench. He's got very good matchups against the meta top lane picks right now. Does very well into things like Aatrox, Riven, Nasus, Renekton. He does struggle a little bit against Darius, so that's a pick being played quite a bit right now that you might want to ban out if you are playing Tahm Kench. But just overall, his matchups right now are really good in the top lane. You're gonna win lane a lot of the time on this champion, and he does have some pretty good roaming potential as well for a top lane pick. So with his ultimate, you can look to influence the map, win your lane, influence the map, and you're gonna have a lot of success on Tahm Kench for this patch. So expect the top lane meta to be pretty similar to where it was last patch. There wasn't a single top laner that got a direct buff in this patch. There weren't any changes to runes or anything that would make any top laners stronger. The only two top laners that got changed in this patch were Akali and Jace, and both these champions aren't super good for solo queue. The main reason to why they're getting nerfed is because of pro play, so I would stay away from those champions, and just overall, bruisers are going to reign supreme for another patch. So moving on to the jungle now, this is the role that did shake up the most for this patch. So there were quite a few junglers that did get nerfed. We saw Master Yi get nerfed, Karthus get nerfed, Rammus get nerfed, and those three champions are all going to be dropping out of S tier for this patch. I think that if there's one champion that could potentially still stay in S tier, it would be the Rammus pick. I still think Rammus, especially for the lower elos, is a solid pick for this patch, but I no longer think he's S tier. I think he's like a very high A tier pick now for 9.11. For Nunu jumping up in this patch, he's now going to be your best tank jungler for 9.11. So with Rammus dropping down, with Amumu also getting a bit of a nerf in this patch, it does make room for Nunu to just be the standalone best tank and probably the standalone best jungler now for 9.11. His ganking potential in the early game is super good. He's got really good lockdown, his chain crowd control. If you can hit your W, if you can get that knock up, follow up the stun from your E or the root from your E, it's just very hard to avoid Nunu ganks if you do not burn your flash. So he can have a very good influence in the early game. He's going to have very good objective control. He's going to scale nicely into the mid to late game. So just overall a great pick for this patch. And then for Evelynn and Elise, they now take Karthus' spot in this patch as the best AP junglers. If you're looking for a good early game jungler in this patch, then either pick up the Hecarim or the Elise. Hecarim is going to be your best AD early game jungler, so if your team needs AD, then I'd go with Hecarim. If your team is lacking AP, then Elise is going to be a great pick. Both Evelynn and Elise have gotten so many indirect changes across the past couple of weeks here. They haven't got a single direct change, but because of other junglers getting nerfed, because of Runic Echo's buffs, because of the Scuttle Crab changes, they've just gotten so much stronger. So they're very good picks now to carry with in solo queue. And then for Vi, also still a great carry jungler for this patch, so I'd say she is a little bit below Hecarim when it comes to just your hard carry jungler for 9.11, but she's definitely still a great pick right now. She's been a great pick for multiple patches in a row, so still a really good jungler to pick up for this patch. So for the mid lane, similar to top lane, not a ton changed in this patch. There weren't really any direct or indirect changes that would shake up the S tier too much, but I do have Rumble moving into S tier for this patch. So Rumble mid over the past couple of patches has been doing very well. It's a champion that is seeing a lot more play right now in the higher elos over in Korea especially. Also pro players are picking it up right now in last patch and in this patch, and it's a champion that can just absolutely dominate the laning phase. Rumble mid's laning phase against a lot of meta mid lane picks is super good. His ability to bully out a lot of mid lane picks is great, and you'd think that in ranged matchups this champion would get poked out really easily and he wouldn't have a great laning phase, but because his W is on such a short cooldown, he just absorbs a lot of poke. You can't really even poke him out in the laning phase, especially if he does go for Doran's shield as well, and then he just constantly shoves you in. He gets priority. Once he does hit level 6, his ability to roam and his ability to just skirmish super well is some of the best for any mid laner. Rumble's level 6 skirmish is just absolutely insane. If you can get a fight in the jungle or in the river and you can use your ultimate in a choke point, you're gonna win that 2v2 or that 3v3 pretty much every single time. And if you can roam bot lane level 6, you can toss out your ultimate from a super long range. Your gank potential is insane with this champion, so there's just so many good things about Rumble mid, and I'd say that if you're looking for a great underrated champion to pick up right now, then Rumble would be the pick. And then the rest of the S tier champions were S tier last patch as well, so not going to go too much into detail about them, but for Ahri right now, still a great champion. You can either go the Electrocute or the Glacial Augment depending on your play style. If you want more carry potential, go Electrocute, go for the Ludens build. If you want more utility, you go Glacial Augment, you go for Twin Shadows and the GLP. For Zed and Talon right now, really good champions in the current meta, in some of the best states they've been in a while, because we're just seeing a lot more diversity right now in other roles as well, in the jungle especially. Seeing more AP junglers really does help out these AD mid laners, and it makes it so that if you pick an AD mid laner, you're not always going to have a full AD team now as you would in previous metas. And then for Malzahar, I would say that overall he's just the most consistent mid laner for this patch. You're always going to be useful on the champion. If you fall behind in the early game, your ultimate, your AoE silence just provides your team with a lot of good utility come the mid to late game. You're going to scale really well too, even if you do fall behind. So I'd say that Malzahar is probably your best foolproof mid laner for 9.11. So down in the bot lane, also not a ton of changes in this patch. So you got Xayah, Sivir, Kai'Sa, Jinx, and Draven making up the S tier. So for Xayah and for Sivir, very good self-sufficient AD carries right now. I'd say in the current meta, with a lot of dive champions being played, a lot of assassins being played in the mid lane, they are very good picks right now. They both do provide themselves with very good self-peel in their kits. Essence Reaver also got buffed last patch, so it's a nice indirect buff to both these two champions. So I'd say that right now, Xayah and Sivir just overall very good picks for the current meta. And then for Kai'Sa in this patch, she's doing really good with the Manamune into the Rageblade and the Nashor setup. So a really hybrid build on the Kai'Sa is coming back over the past like 2 or 3 patches here. With this setup on Kai'Sa, you do get a faster Q evolve. You also have a cheaper build setup than like the Stormrazor Rush or the Infinity Edge Rush. It also allows you to build a little bit of AD and AP. So if the enemy team is trying to prioritize resistances against you, it's going to be very hard for them to do that. So it just overall makes Kai'Sa a very consistent pick for 9.11. Make sure you do build the pickaxe first though instead of tier on Kai'Sa. It's not like Ezreal to where you go for the tier rush and get that stacking. You more so want the pickaxe early on Kai'Sa so you don't have a super weak laning phase. If you do go tier, your laning phase is just going to be way too weak. So you want to go pickaxe, and then ideally on your next base, you do want to have enough for you to buy the Manamune straight up. For Jinx and for Draven, still very good picks for the current meta. Jinx just has very, very good synergies with the most picked supports right now. You got Lux and Nautilus as the 2 most picked supports in this patch, and the chain CC potential, the burst potential with those combos in this patch is really, really good. And then for Draven, he's still going to be your best hard carry, early game AD carry for 9.11. And then to finish it off here, down in the support role, we've got Thresh, Nautilus, Nami, Janna, and Sona for this patch. So if you're looking for an aggressive support, if you want a hard carry support, pick up either Thresh or Nautilus for 9.11. I would definitely lean more towards the Nautilus. Don't know why this champion was not nerfed in this patch. This champion is just very, very strong down in the support role. He just has a super good laning phase. If you land a hook on the enemy support, especially if they're a squishy support in the laning phase, it's almost a guaranteed kill. It is a guaranteed kill once you do it level 6 with your chain crowd control. Point and click ultimate with Nautilus, follow it up with your Q, follow it up with your passive. It's just insane, the chain CC and the damage this champion has. So definitely Nautilus should be in your champion pool for this patch if you're looking to climb from the support role. And then if you don't like that super aggressive playstyle, if you want to play more of a less aggressive enchanter or range support for this patch, then the Nami, the Janna, or the Sona are going to be your best bet. So for Nami, she's been a very consistent pick over the past couple of patches now. She's a very good laning support, probably the best laning support out of those 3 there. So if you're looking to have a strong laning phase and you're looking to play a range support, then Nami's going to be your pick for this patch. Now Janna, she really did actually benefit from the changes in this patch. I was kind of expecting her to be about neutral with those changes because her W did end up getting nerfed a little bit, but her E ended up getting buffed. But it turns out that 20% reduction on her E cooldown whenever she hits an ability is actually very, very strong. You're gonna have your E up a lot of the time, especially in mid to late game team fights. Getting like multiple E's off in a matter of second on your AD carry, like the shields coming out from Janet in this patch are gonna be really insane. So she's just a very good support now for 9.11. And then for Sona, she is the best scaling support right now for 9.11. If you can just get past your laning phase, if you don't die a couple times in lane, then you're gonna have a very good chance of winning in the mid to late game. The AoE shield she provides, the heals on a very short cooldown, the speed ups on a very short cooldown, like the utility this champion provides on very short cooldowns in the mid to late game makes her a very good pick. And she's a pretty easy to execute champion as well. All you gotta really do in the mid to late game is spam your W, spam your E. You don't even really have to land your ultimate because she just has great utility in her other abilities, but her ultimate is definitely a great part of her kit as well. So just overall, don't feed in the early game with Sona, reach the mid to late game, and you're gonna have a lot of success on her for this patch. So that is going to be all for this video, guys. That's what we're looking at for 9.11. So I would definitely recommend adding at least a few of these champions to your champion pools for this patch. If they're not already in there, these champions are going to give you the best chance to climb for 9.11. So with that being said, if you guys did enjoy this video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in my next video.